Yeah, I actually interned at Reflection Music Group. Shout out Derek Miner and Reflection Music Group. So I started out as an intern with the independent label that he owns. And I mean, I was sweeping floors, you know, yeah, cleaning the studio. That one time, like the pipes burst or something, and I was like drying out the back kitchen, like I mean, I was an intern, and just and also kind of just hanging around. Actually, the beginning of that story is I was at MTSU. Shout out MTSU, great school. A lot of like Christian hip hop artists have some kind of connection with MTSU. Lecrae went there for a couple semesters. Street Symphony, which he's a Grammy Award winning producer for well, a ton of artists like Christian and mainstream, but he got a Grammy with Lecrae and some other people. He went there. Um, Derek Miner graduated from there. Um, I graduated from there. Mowgli the Iceberg graduated from there. There's people I'm missing too, but even more producers and A&Rs and stuff. So it's got a pretty cool roster of alumni within Christian hip hop. It also just has a huge alumni in the music industry in general, but for Christian hip hop, it's a powerhouse too. So I, while I was at MTSU, I was kind of training to be an artist manager. So I was managing one of my friends at MTSU, and Derek Miner was coming back to MTSU to speak to the Christian Music Society. So I was like, we need to go to this, and afterwards, like, we need to try to go up to him and like meet him and hopefully show him something. Like, we were just in like kind of grind mode, and I was trying to, be the artist manager, whatever. So he came in, he spoke, and I was like, all right, now's our chance. We need to go up there. And so I go up there and I introduce myself and say, this is my artist, and we'd love to like show you some music. And he was like, I was very nervous. He was way cooler than I thought. He was like, yeah, like come on outside to to the truck, and we'll I can play it and listen to it or whatever. I was not expecting that. And now, being in the music industry for a long time, that's kind of crazy that he said that. But so we went out there, played the music. He was like, I don't even remember what song it was. I know it was my homie Rylan. Shout out Rylan Exum. I think at the time your name was Sano, or it might have been Yashua Sirius. He had many different names, just like I had many different names. But shout out Rylan, the homie. Yeah, so we listened to the music. He was like, yeah, man, this is really cool. But he was more interested in, like, I know now, he was more interested in kind of mentoring us. And since we were local boys, like bringing us out to the studios that they had in Murfreesboro, where I live now. And kind of like, I think he just saw something I think the song probably wasn't good, but he saw, I think it wasn't like, but he saw like how we were grinding. He saw our spirit, and definitely he has a heart to like develop younger artists and younger men in general. And I think he was like, I want to bring these guys out to the studio. I want to kind of like build a relationship with them. He like ended up inviting us to like Bible study and different stuff. And that was like an amazing time, because we were like, dang, we get to go to Derek Miner's studio, like learn about Reflection Music Group, hang out. And so that started like a whole thing. And even more of my friends kind of like joined that group. And that was like a formative time for us. And so through that process, I think the next year at MTSU, you need to have an internship to get the credit. I was getting a music business degree, so they want you to have an internship your junior and your senior year. I actually think I started interning for them sophomore year. I wanted to get ahead of the game. And so started interning there at RMG, like I said, doing the intern thing, and they liked my work there, so then made me a merchandise manager. for the artists there. So I'd be selling the merch at their shows, and I was in charge of like inventory and all that. And then eventually became a road manager. So it was like working my way up from that beginning time as Derek was putting out music and RMG was getting bigger and bigger. And yeah, through that process of becoming a road manager, that's when, once I was Derek's road manager, merchandise manager, road manager, that's when I started meeting all these different people, these bigger artists, these famous artists Christian music in general, and definitely in Christian hip hop. That's when I met Lecrae and Andy, and actually that's not when I met Andy, but it is when I met Lecrae and Tadashi Tripoli, the Reach Records guys. Really, I met so many people in Christian hip hop and Christian music. But when I met them, and I was making music at the time, Derek was allowing us to use his studio. He ended up giving us an extra key. He was like extremely generous and wow, instrumental in all of our development at that time. But yeah, he would just give us a key. Like, he trusted us that much after spending like a lot of time with us, and we would record stuff, and he wasn't even listening to it. He was just like, yeah, y'all like go experiment, whatever. Yeah. Through that process is when I met all those people. I had been making music in Derek's studio. He hadn't heard it yet. And I also didn't want to, like, while I was a road manager, that's what I was doing. If I was out on the road, I was a road manager, I was a merchandise manager. I wasn't going to use it as a backdoor to show my music to Lecrae or show my music to whoever, because I didn't want to be the guy who was like, yo, check out my mixtape. You know what I mean? They get that like all day long. And I knew that from being a road manager. Like, man, yeah.
I mean, that takes humility.
Yeah.
And patience.
Some of it was that. I'm not going to deny that the spirit was working in those ways. And some of it was just, I don't want to look like these people that I have to, as a road manager, deal with night after night, who are they're supposed to be in the meet and greet line, and they're supposed to take a picture or get an autograph, and they're there under that, like, guys, and then they get up to the table, and while the artist is taking a picture, they're whispering in their ear, like, yo, check out my mixtape, or like, can I freestyle for you? Even though we've said like we're just doing picture with it, and so I'm like, how bad would it be for them to do that all night? And then we get back on the bus like, hey, yo, check out my mixtape. You know what I mean? Like, that's gonna, and people do that, but I'm like, this is gonna burn the bridge. This is not gonna be a good idea. So, but that ended up being, and then I would say the third component is that's just kind of part of my personality. Like, it is the spirit working in me in humility. It is me trying not to be the mixtape guy. And then I don't want relationships to be based on like, I don't want to just make relationships so that I can like take advantage of somebody's position, that's just not me. So, yeah, like, for example, I was on the road with Derek and Lecrae in 2013 for Winter Jam. So that's like 3 or 4 months, a ton of shows. I can't even remember, like, I don't even know. Feels like 60 shows or something like that. And never showed like Lecrae my music, didn't tell him I was a rapper or anything. No. And I was like gearing up to like put stuff out and didn't tell him. But that ends up paying off, because whenever they did find out about my music, usually it would be from once Derek did hear my music. So, all right, let me back up. So we're back in the studio now, right? And it's me and my friends in there. Derek comes in. He's left something in the studio. He opens up the door. He's like grabbing this thing. Oh, I'm just grabbing this, whatever. And he's like, who's this? I'm like, this is me. He's like, that's you? And I'm like,
why was he shocked?
He just hadn't heard anything yet. And I honestly, he probably was shocked because of the first music that we showed him, like, Okay, we had showed him that one like at the like outside of MTSU, and then like a couple times over the like when we were doing longer tours, like, and shout out Cannon, the rapper Cannon. We were like closer, like it's not that we were closer than me and Derek, but we were close. We were closer in age and closer in like he would like pick on me like an older brother. Like Derek was like the boss. Cannon was like, I think he's just 1 or 2 years older than me or something, and he was like always trying to haze me and prank me and stuff like that, right? So I felt more comfortable like showing him the music because I knew it wasn't like oh, I'm trying to leverage this relationship. It was, we were like more, I guess peers is a good term, like at least in like age and stuff. And so, you know, he had heard the music, and so I remember him playing a song on a long like a long tour that we were doing, that whole record label. I was still I think I was an intern at the time because the music was not good. And Cannon's got the phone and he's like controlling the music, and he just like goes to one of my songs, and I'm like petrified. I knew the music wasn't ready at this time, and he's playing it like for the whole label to hear. Like we're in like an expedition or something. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't say this is Dill. He just plays it, right? And it's not good, and nobody reacts at all, which is the worst. Like the songs that had been playing, he had been playing bangers, so everybody's like, you know, having a good time. Like, all right, road trip, plays that, everybody kind of like, and then it just kind of like goes silent, and then now people are just kind of riding. Like before, like everybody, you know, and now everybody's just kind of like looking out of the window and stuff. I'm like, he's like dying. He's like trying to contain himself as he always is, and I'm like, this is the worst. And nothing happens. Like he doesn't say it's me or anything. It just goes to the next song, and then people are like, you know, jamming again, whatever. And so
I was like, that was weird.
I actually told this story to Derek like years later, and he was like, I didn't even know I had ever heard your music. And I'm like, yeah, because when he played, it was bad, and I didn't want anybody to know. And Cannon didn't say anything, so I was just like, and Derek thought that was hilarious. He's like, I didn't even know your music played. I was like, yeah, that was the Lord. But, but, yeah. So the first time that Derek knew that he heard my music was in the studio, and that's when I was ready by that time. The stuff was more polished. We had time to kind of like figure it out. The song was called Indie, and it was kind of like the beginning of also like the philosophy of Indie Tribe was like in that song or whatever. And he thought it was dope, couldn't believe it was me. He tweeted it out. That was like when I got my first kind of like introduction to the fan base of Christian hip hop. Like, oh, you know, the fans are like, Derek Minor just tweeted out this new artist, this new song I haven't seen. Listen to it, start getting fans that way. So when he started kind of showing all the people I had already met in the capacity of road manager or merch managing my music, then they were much more likely to like support and share, because they're like, wait a minute, we've known this guy for years at this point, and he never tried to push his music on us. Like that made them want to like share it and support it, especially since, you know, they thought it was good, you know. So it like paid off a lot to not be the mixtape guy and just to build these relationships behind the scenes genuinely without trying to leverage them, and really serving them through being like merch and road manager and whatever. And then, you know, when they heard the music, they like immediately supported. Lecrae was putting it on his Instagram stories, and Propaganda. I remember when Propaganda retweeted it, I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Like, you know, it was like every camp in CHH was in Christian hip hop was supporting, and I was like, man, this is amazing, you know. So, yeah.
And you were so good that Derek fired you.
Yeah, he did. That's a funny sentence, but yeah. Derek. Yeah. So I was road managing. I was mid at road managing, meaning I was average. I think I had some good runs. I made some pretty big mistakes, and so he sat me down one day and he was like, do you want to be a road manager your whole life, or do you want to be an artist? Like, what would you actually rather be? And I was like, well, I would, in a perfect world, I'd be an artist, but it's too risky. I've gone to school for music business. I think I can do this. So I'll just stay a road manager. He was like, cool, you're fired. And I was like, I'm looking like, what? And he's like, yeah, I know. Yeah, that moment was crazy. And he's like, I know that you won't really pursue becoming an artist if you have a safety net. He said, I don't know anybody who's made it who had a safety net or who had a plan B. Like, you gotta, so you're fired. And I mean, it worked like that. Like, when he said that and fired me, that following year, I put out 3 projects. Like,
in 1 year.
Smoke Signal, Summer Camp Sessions, and No Dylans, all in 1 year in 2015. And that was, I was gonna say a large part, but not a large part. Like, the whole part was because he did cut that safety net, and I lost that stream of income. So it was like time to go. Had to work a full-time job while I was making all those, and that's where Southern Word came in, which we talked about earlier. But yeah, I mean, and that's actually where those two combine, because like the knowledge that I got for the music business and for marketing and all that side of it from MTSU and largely from Reflection Music Group and Derek, combined with him cutting that safety net, combined with working with literary devices and writing and the energy of the students every day in Southern Word, just like all came together. Yeah, for real.
Hey y'all, we hope you loved this conversation. Here at Young Married Christian, we are on a mission to see a gospel-centered home made available for every single child in the foster care system. There are 400,000 kids in the foster care system, and there are 400,000 churches in America. Wow. That is crazy. This is absolutely a solvable problem, and we want to be a part of it. If you want to join us in that mission, text the word freedom to 833-370-1610.
833-370-1610. 833-370-1610.
I just did it.
And another thing you can do that is really helpful is to smash the like button on this video.
Smash it like Satan's face. Crush it like it's Lucifer's head.
It really helps us a ton, so smash that like button, subscribe to this channel.
That's it.
Smash the like button on this video.